Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Daytime Looker podcast. Look into my podcast and be amazed. I am your host, Tessie McNasty, and we always start this podcast off with a toast. So if you don't have a drink in your hand, go ahead and pause this video and run and fetch yourself something to sip on and come right back. Go ahead, I'll wait. All right, now that you're back, let us lift our glasses and toast. Today we cast off the zest of old, the bitter rind of tales once told. For only when the past is shed can we embrace the sweet new recipe ahead. Cheers. Today I would like to talk about the extreme vegan transgender death cult known as the Zizians. On January 20th, Border Patrol agent David Mainland was shot and killed in a routine traffic stop. No, this was not Antifa protesting Trump's inauguration by murdering Border Patrol agents. It was actually much deeper than that. It was the work of a cult known as the Zizians. The Zizians were founded by a man named Jack Ziz Lasoda. Jack Lasoda is a transgender man to woman. Jack Lasoda would be his dead name, and then Liz is his transgender name. He is the overprivileged son of an AI expert who graduated from the University of Alaska with a computer programming degree in 2013. Between 2014 and 2018, Ziz and his one of his cohorts, a man named Gwen Danielson. Gwen is also a male to female transgender. They began participating in workshops put on by the Center for Applied Rationality. Now, the Center for Applied Rationality is an offshoot of the Machine Learning Institute. Machine learning, of course, has to do with AI. You teach the computer to learn things like a human brain. But the Center for Applied Rationality believes you can also teach humans to be more rational using the same kind of tools you would use to teach an artificial intelligence machine to be more rational. So a lot of it, they're all computer programmers, obviously, that are interested in this kind of sort of thing. But the Center for Applied Rationality does not deal with computers, they deal with humans. And they try to debug the human mind. Of course, all of us have biases, all of us have things that make us act irrationally, and their purpose is to make us act more rationally. However, due to its nature, for some reason, cult-like groups tend to form at the CFAR because, well, you have people that have been there for a while, so they are higher in the CFR hierarchy, and the initiates that come in and are just trying to learn rationality, the higher-ups tend to try to debug their brain. And when one human tries to debug another human, it gets a little culty sometimes. So, between 2016 and 2018, Ziz begins a blog called Sin Seriously. He begins shaping out his views that the human brain has two hemispheres. Each hemisphere is kind of like a unique human all of its own, your left brain and your right brain. He believes he can debucket each hemisphere. I'm assuming that the phrase debucket is something like decompartmentalization, I guess. But he believes each hemisphere has its own personality. Each hemisphere has its own gender. Each hemisphere is kind of like a unique person. He believes he can practice uni-hemisphere sleep, which means that one side of the brain will go to sleep and the other side of the brain is the only one that's functioning. He believes that, we call this an extreme vegan cult. And he believes that there are three types of people: not good, single good, and double good. About 1 in 20 people is single good, which means one hemisphere of their brain believes that animals are the same as human children. So that if you're killing an animal to make a hamburger, it's almost like you're killing a human child to grind it up and make a hamburger, and it's atrocious and disgusting. And if both hemispheres of the brain believe the same thing, which he believes only 1 in 400 people have that ability, then you are double good. So in this Zizian cult, Ziz himself is double good because both hemispheres of his brain believe that it's wrong to kill animals for food. Gwyn, his cohort, is only single good because only one side of his brain apparently believes that killing animals is wrong. The rest of us are not good because we eat animals. I love a good hamburger. I love a good steak. My wife is making me a filet this Friday for Valentine's Day. And we are the enemy. If we are carnivores, we are the enemy to Ziz and the Zizian cult. Because obviously it's atrocious to kill animals. When he's using phrases like not good, single good, double good, in a cult-like sense, it appears to me as an outsider looking in, this is kind of like your initiate. You come into the cult, you're not good yet. And then you join the cult and begin doing culty things. And hey, congratulations, you've become single good. Just keep doing culty things and eventually you'll be double good just like me. And it's just another way for, you to advance in the cult. He compares people that are only single good to having a yerk in your brain. A yerk being a brain slug from the 1990s children book series Animorphs. So if you have a yerk in your brain, only one hemisphere of your brain is thinking rationally and the other side thinks it's okay to eat animals, you should treat it like you have to surgically remove the yerk, the brain slug that's causing the second half of your brain, the second hemisphere of your brain to think that it's okay to eat animals. In 2017, Ziz bought a 94-foot tugboat called the Caleb, and he anchored it in Pillar Point Harbor. Him and Gwyn began living on it. Unfortunately for a man named Curtis Lind, Curtis lived on the boat next door, and Curtis is a friendly person, and he began talking to Gwyn and Ziz and befriended them. And it's fine, it's nice to be courteous, but this is going to end up costing him his life in the future. In 2018, Ziz meets a man named Chris Pasek online. Chris Pasek is also a male to female transgender, Chris Pasek being his dead name, Maya being his transgender name. Now, Ziz begins teaching Maya the ability of unihemispheric sleep. If you remember, that's the ability to put one hemisphere of your brain to sleep while the other hemisphere is the one that takes over. He's also teaching Maya how to debucket, which is decompartmentalizing your brain so both hemispheres function independently. Because of these experiments, Maya goes insane and commits suicide. Sometime in 2018, Gwyn and Ziz are asked to stop coming to any more of these Center for Applied Rationality workshops because instead of participating in the workshop, Ziz keeps pulling people aside and having apocalyptic conversations with them where he's trying to teach them his theory about how the hemispheres can act independently and all this stuff. And people are getting creeped out. If the weirdos in a center where they're trying to debug each other's brain think you're too weird for them, it's kind of a red flag. So anyway, they ask him to stop participating, and this really angers Ziz. It angers Ziz so much that November 19th, 2019, Ziz Gwyn, another male to female transgender named Alexander Somni Leatham, Alexander Leatham being his dead name, Somni being his transgender name, and another male to female transgender named Emma Borhanian, they protest a CFAR alumni event. They come in wearing full black robes. They're wearing Guy Fawkes masks. Guy Fawkes is the character from V for Victory, that movie where he's got the white face and the mustache. And they block all the exits of the park that they're in so nobody can leave. And they began handing out flyers saying that the CFAR is not going far enough to, progress human rationality. They're not doing what they promised to do. They're not developing novel rationality, mental tech, and they're definitely not embracing his each hemisphere can act independently theory, which is, the basis of his whole cult. So, because of this, the four of them get arrested. They get charged with kidnapping because you can't block somebody's entrance or exit to a place. It's considered kidnapping. If a person wants to leave and you don't allow them to leave, the charge is kidnapping. They also get a child endangerment charge because there was a group of children on a field trip to the CFAR event. So this is during COVID. It's 2019 or 2020 when the trials start. So all the trials are going through Zoom call court proceedings. Y'all remember COVID and how everything started being through Zoom. Somni, in one of the Zoom court meetings, appears in a full hazmat suit. The judge asks him to take off the top of the hazmat suit so he can be identified by his face. Somni freaks out and refuses, citing risk to COVID. I mean, if you're at home and you're zooming in, I would assume you're safe from catching COVID, but it's just more dramatics for the trial. It was at this time that Center for Applied Rationality publishes Zizian.info, a website warning everyone to stay away from the Zizians. This is also the first time the phrase Zizian is used. Ziz went out and recruited vulnerable transgender men to join his cult, but he wasn't saying, hey, come join the Zizians. That was a name ascribed to the cult by the CFAR. But, he was still gaining popularity even though he was no longer attending any of the CFAR events because of his Sincerely blog posts. People were reading his blogs and sharing his blogs, and some people were impressed with his each hemisphere of the brain is a completely individual person theory. So people were still interacting with him. In fact, in 2019, a year after Ziz has been asked to stop attending any CFAR events, a German national named Felix Ophelia Bockholt starts attending CFAR events, but he's also following Ziz's blog. Ophelia is a male to female transgender as well, Ophelia being his transgender name. In 2021, a man named James J. Fluttershy Winterford, another transgender, J. Winterford being his dead name, Fluttershy being his transgender name, Fluttershy being the character from the My Little Pony series that was very shy. Fluttershy posts a long blog post referencing the info hazard called Pasek's Doom. If you'll recall, Pasek, Maya Pasek, was the first woman or the first transgender male to female that killed himself after experimenting with the hemispheric theory, the uni-hemispheric sleep experiments. Apparently an info hazard in the rationality community is a warning saying, if you come across this information, please be careful with this information. It can cause danger. After Maya killed himself, Ziz posted a blog post talking about naming the info hazard Pasek's Doom, saying if you're depressed, if you're in the closet about your transgenderism, please don't try these uni-hemispheric sleep experiments because they may cause suicide. Fluttershy references Pasek's Doom, makes a long blog post about his childhood trauma, and then also kills himself. On May 27, 2022, the Caleb tugboat sinks. This is where Gwen and Ziz and a few other cult members are living. I don't know if you ever had the horrible, horrible experience of trying to maintain a boat, but boats are always breaking down. They're in salt water, things rust, things leak, and you constantly have to repair them, and they couldn't keep up with the repairs, so the boat sank. Curtis Lind, their neighbor who had befriended the cult, made the mistake of saying, hey, I have a piece of land in Vallejo on the corner of 3rd and Lemon Street. It's undeveloped land, but if you'd like to rent it out, y'all can move there since your home on this boat has sunk. So the cult did. The cult parked 2 boxcars there, and they began living out of the boxcars. This is 2022 in California. So the moratorium on paying rent is still active in California. California government has decided because of COVID, you don't have to pay rent. So the cult agrees to pay rent, and then they don't actually pay rent. Surprise, surprise. But Curtis Lynn's a good man. He's just trying to help out a neighbor. Unfortunately for him. We're going to introduce 2 members of the cult. Even though they attended high school together, a male to female transgender, Maximilian Bentley Snyder, Maximilian Snyder being his dead name, Bentley being his transgender name, reaches out to a female to male transgender, Teresa Milo Youngblood. Teresa Youngblood being her dead name, Milo being her transgender name. We're not clear as whether they knew each other in high school or not, but after Bentley reaches out to Milo on Instagram, they begin dating. I know what you're thinking. Why is a male to female transgender dating a female to male transgender? Isn't this just a straight heterosexual relationship with extra steps? And I agree with you on that. I've been showing you the pictures right here, and you can see that a lot of the transgender male to female men were not going out of their way to try to look like women. Yes, they all grew long hair, but the 2 females in this cult also still kept their long hair. They didn't cut it short and butch. It's my opinion, and this is just my opinion as an outsider looking into this cult. It does not look like these people suffered from gender dysmorphia disorder, which is a mental illness where you feel like the wrong sex trapped in the wrong body. It doesn't appear like any of them actually had this mental disorder. It looks to me like an outsider looking in that these are left-wing academics. They're all computer programmers. They're all computer nerds. They're all highly, highly, highly educated. And in the academic world, in the left-wing world, transgenderism is trending. So they're following the trends just like everybody else. So they're participating in transgenderism, not because they actually have the gender dysmorphia disorder, but because they're just, it's trendy. So we're going to be like everybody else in the academic world, and we're going to participate in this transgenderism. Obviously, because it's a man dating a woman, even though the outward appearances have been reversed. The way they present themselves, the gender that they present themselves has been reversed. Ziz, because he is not enjoying these trials that he's going through on Zoom, he gets himself declared dead by faking his own death. His sister and Emma both swear eyewitness reports that they witnessed Ziz fall off a boat in Half Moon Bay. And they could not find him after he fell off the boat. And even though they searched for the body, they couldn't find the body. And on August 20th, 2022, Ziz is officially declared dead. Gwen, on the other hand, he just stops showing up to court altogether. Now, the cult has hired a lawyer. And in fact, because they view anybody who is a carnivore as the enemy, they can only hire a vegan lawyer. So they go out and hire the vegan lawyer. And then the court reports to the vegan lawyer, hey, one of your clients, Ziz, is dead. And your other client, Gwen, is no longer showing up to court. But the other two are still showing up to their Zoom meetings, including the one that dressed in the biohazard outfit. Curtis Lind continues to try to collect rent, even though California has declared a moratorium on rent payments. Tensions are getting higher and higher between Curtis Lind and the cult, however. In fact, the last few times he showed up to try to collect rent, they've thrown rocks at him, so he's getting really frustrated. At some point on November 13th, 2022, the cult, multiple members of the cult call in saying he needs to come out to the property because there's something that needs his attention at the property. And as soon as they lure Curtis Lind to the property, the cult swarms him. They try to stab him. He takes a samurai sword to the chest. His right eye gets stabbed out. He has cuts on the back of his neck as if somebody was trying to cut his head off. However, Curtis Lind is packing, and he fires back when the cult tries to attack him. So he kills the cult member known as Emma with a shot to the chest. Curtis Lind survives, even though he's lost his right eye. Suri and Somni are both charged with attempted murder and murder. Attempted murder of Curtis Lind, and even though they did not pull the trigger and shoot Emma, they are charged with Emma's death because, the court assumes that if they had not tried to kill Curtis Lind, he would not have defended himself and Emma would have still been alive. On the property on Lemon and 3rd, police detain both Ziz and Gwen, but they don't charge them with anything. They just detain them and then let them go. The police go ahead and call the cult's vegan lawyer, and they inform him, hey, by the way, your client Ziz that was declared dead is not dead after all. We talked to him. However, your other client, Emma, is now dead. And your other client, Somni, he's been charged with Emma's murder. Just FYI, in case you're interested. Now we move on to introduce another member of the cult. And these two people that I'm about to talk about were not cult members. On December 31st, 2022, Richard and Rita Zajko are murdered with 9mm bullets in their Philadelphia home. Milo, who we introduced earlier, had frequent contact leading up to the death of Richard and Rita with the couple's daughter, Michelle Jamie Zajko. Michelle Zajko being a female to male transgender, Michelle Zajko being her dead name, Jamie being her transgender name. Ophelia, who we also introduced earlier, actually flew in from Germany to the United States just hours prior to the murder. We don't know if he was actually involved in the murder. However, Jamie who is a cult member, had a blog post called The Plum of Discord. She was known as the Plum of Discord online, and she blog posted a lot. Apparently, all these rationalists blog post a lot. I guess when your entire thing is rationality, it's good to get your thoughts out on a website and publish them for the world to see. She had a blog post in which she described, prior to the killings, she had had two separate multi-hour conversations with Ziz, where Ziz was trying to convince Jamie to murder a mutual friend of both of them named Alice. Now I'm assuming, and I don't know, I'm just assuming that Alice is also a male to female transgender. The thing is, Alice is Ziz's mentor. When Ziz was first trying to get into rationality, Alice was the one that probably tried to debug him and, helped him through the whole rationality thing. Jamie makes an allusion to the Star Wars franchise, talking about Sith, calling Ziz a Sith Lord. And you know what Sith Lords do. If they have a mentor, they have to kill their mentor in order to, progress as a Sith. And so she was sitting there in the blog post, she's saying, I'm not going to do Ziz's dirty work and kill his mentor for him. That's his job as his Sith Lord. But apparently, he was able to convince her because Jamie is a person of interest. She has not been arrested. She has not been charged with anything. But she is a person of interest in the murder of her parents. On January 13th, 2023, the police execute a warrant on the motel room that Jamie is supposed to be staying in. She has already fled. She is not there in the motel room, but the motel owner says that, hey, people that know Jamie are in the next room over. So they also breach that hotel room. Inside, they find Ziz and an unidentified man. Ziz plays catatonic. He lays down, he closes his eyes, he refuses to talk, he refuses to open his eyes. 4 police officers have to carry him and lift him out of the motel room. And he just never says anything. And because of that, he's detained for a little bit, but he refuses to answer, so he's once again released with no charges. Meanwhile, remember Milo, the female to male transgender that had frequent contact with Jamie before her parents' death? Milo's mother files a missing persons report because one night Milo packs her backpack, a duffel bag, she takes her passport, she takes her medical records, she cuts off all contact with her childhood friends, and she leaves. She disappears. November 5th, 2024, in King County, Washington, Milo and Bentley file for a marriage license. We don't know if they actually got married, if they performed the ceremony or not, but they did apply for and receive a marriage license. On January 17th, 2025, Bentley goes to Curtis Lynn's cul-de-sac, steps out of the shadows, and slits his throat. Lynn dies. Police believe that Bentley did this because Curtis was the only eyewitness to his attempted murder previously that we talked about, and he was set to testify on the February 19th, 2025 trial, one that's coming up in 8 days. So Bentley was trying to silence the only witness, trying to help out his other 2 cult members and get them scot-free. Instead, Bentley gets arrested and charged with Lynn's murder. So now we got 3 of them in jail. Trial's coming up, 8 days. We'll keep you posted on this podcast what happens. Around this same time, Milo and Ophelia are in Vermont. Police are contacted by a hotel owner because Milo and Ophelia are acting suspicious. They're dressed in all black tactical gear. They are walking around. Milo has a 9mm holstered and displayed openly. I'm not sure if police contact them or not, but they are definitely, even if they're detained, they are definitely not arrested for anything. They're not charged with anything because they haven't committed a crime yet. They're just walking around in black tactical gear displaying a gun. On January 20th, 2025, Milo and Ophelia are pulled over by Border Patrol agents in a routine traffic stop. The traffic stop starts cordially, but Milo escalates it, and she steps out of the vehicle and begins firing. She hits David Mayland. Ophelia starts reaching for his gun, and Border Patrol agents shoot him and kill him. David Mayland is later died at the hospital from his gunshot wound. Milo is arrested. And it turns out the same 9mm gun that killed Jamie's parents is the same 9mm gun that was fired at David Mayland and ended up taking his life. So, to cap things off, Suri, Somni, Milo, and Bentley are all in jail. Emma and Ophelia are both dead. Ziz and Gwen, the OG cult members, and Jamie, the one who's a person of interest in her parents' murder, are still on the lam. I'm going to go ahead and interject my opinion on this whole cult situation, and I'm going to get a little biblical on you. In the story of the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, God has one rule: don't eat the fruit in the middle of the tree. Satan approaches Eve and tells her, oh, you know why God doesn't want you to eat that fruit? Because if you eat it, you'll have the knowledge of good and evil, and you'll become a god like him. So Eve eats it, feeds it to Adam. Adam eats it. God's mad. God gets him out of the Garden of Eden. A lot of people view that story as, hey, don't break God's rule. I view that story as God was trying to protect Adam and Eve because he knew that humans make lousy gods. And let me tell it to you this way. This cult, the Zizian cult, they're all into rationality. And when you're into rationality, you can rationalize anything. The Zizians rationalize murdering human beings because they're carnivores. They treat animals as human equals, and if somebody is willing to eat a human equal, the Zizians think that they deserve death. When, instead of following rules that come from a higher power, and you assume, hey, I'm a human, I'm a smart person, I can rationalize my way and find the real truth, humans do a lousy job of it. Humans make lousy gods. And if you're sitting there trying to rationalize your life, don't do it, because you suck at it. And I suck at it. And everybody sucks at it. You can't rationalize your way through life. It's important to have a strong moral foundation, because if your morals depend on your rationality, you're going to moralize anything. You're going to moralize stealing. You're going to moralize murder. You're going to moralize anything because you can rationalize it. You can think your way through anything. And that's just my opinion. We'll keep you updated on the Zizian extreme vegan transgender death cult because it's interesting to me, and I hope it's interesting to you. Meanwhile, in other news, a 33-year-old bipolar New York native has flown to Pakistan and begun demanding $100,000 from the government to make Pakistan great again. Let's go ahead and watch the video.
I got things to do. I'm asking for 100K or more. I need 20K by this week, okay, in my pockets, in cash. Okay, that's a demand to the government.
ये हमारी American sister जो हैं, my dear American sister.
Listen, I'm from Pakistan. Respect to the law,
Okay.
respect for the law,
Okay.
respect to Allah, and
Okay.
respect to God. Make sure y'all get this on your camera. I'm married to Nidel Hamid. I'm Onaija Hamid. We are moving to Dubai very soon. We're gonna have our baby in Dubai. Okay. Goodbye. Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम.
Thank you.
Why are you demanding 1,000K to government in which country?
100K for real estate.
So where are
Here, please come here.
Listen,
Come.
shh.
Please sit down. Please
Be
have a
quiet.
seat.
I'm not sitting down.
Okay, please have a seat.
My plan is to reconstruct this whole country, okay? I'm asking for 100K or more. I need 20K by this week, okay? In my pockets, in cash, okay? That's a demand to the government. The government is gonna fix up these buildings, fix up the streets, and clean up these streets. It's ridiculous out here. I do not like it, okay? Lock him up.
Right now.
Right now, I'm going to mind my fucking business. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Clear the way.
Okay.
Pretty crazy, huh? What you just saw is a woman named Onijah Robinson. She is 33 years old, is a New York City native, and has bipolar disorder, obviously. Onijah Robinson had a Facebook page, and apparently a 19-year-old man from Pakistan named Nidal Hamid, you saw her in the video saying that she was married to Nidal Hamid. They're not actually married. She's bipolar, remember. She just kind of says things. Nidal commented on one of Onijah's pictures on Facebook, and she replied, and they struck up a conversation. And Onijah decided that Nidal was her love interest, and she was going to go fly to Pakistan and get her man. So she does. She buys a plane ticket. She flies from New York to Pakistan. She goes and finds Nidal's home, shows up, knocks on the door, and Nidal's a 19-year-old man who still lives with his parents. And his parents were mortified. His parents were, there is no way you're going to marry this woman. There's no way you're going to date this woman. This woman is clearly insane. So they kick her out of the house, and they think that that's the end of it. But Onijah is from New York, and Onijah is bipolar. And I'm assuming, I don't know, I'm assuming, but I would bet an entire paycheck that as a bipolar woman living in New York, Onijah has spent some time sleeping on the streets of New York as if she was homeless. And that's exactly what she does in Pakistan. She camps out on Nidal Hamid's front lawn. So the parents abandon the house, they go stay with relatives, they take their kid with them, but Onijah's just there chilling. So the man with the long beard and the green shirt, I want to salute that man. That man is named Ramzan Chippa. Ramzan is a social worker there in Pakistan. He is actually the head of the Chippa Welfare Association. And the Chippa Welfare Association is the second largest provider of ambulance services in Pakistan. Remember, he's a social worker. So he sees somebody in need, Onijah, who's bipolar and sleeping on somebody's front lawn, and he takes care of her. He allows her to throw news conferences like that, like the one you just saw. Pakistan embraces her. Pakistan, the older Pakistanis start calling her their American daughter-in-law. Younger Pakistanis start calling her their American sister-in-law. And, you know, she becomes a local celebrity. She's just, you know, she says crazy things. Everybody's like, oh my God, look, our in-law is saying, our American in-law is just saying crazy shit. This is so much fun. So they enjoy her. All the videos I've seen of her where she's walking around saying crazy things. One of my favorite quotes is they're asking her something and she says, I'm Muslim. It's against my religion to tell you my business, and walks off. And she says things like that, and they embrace her and love on her. They actually start the Pakistani equivalent of a GoFundMe and raise up enough money for her to buy plane tickets back to New York. But she doesn't take them because she's now a local celebrity in Pakistan, and she's having the time of her life. She's living it up. And she even gets hired, at least for one commercial, for a tea shop. It goes like you expect it to go. But it's still funny because she's sitting there going, this tea is delicious. And Pakistanis are eating them. Oh, we got to go see Onaija's tea shop. It's not her tea shop. She just did the commercial for it. But, they're donating money to her. Ramzan is protecting her. Every video I see, she's being escorted by somebody in uniform, men and women. I'm assuming these are all the ambulance drivers. At first I thought maybe they were police officers, but it wasn't the Pakistani government taking care of this woman. It was Ramzan. So there's videos of her saying like she's leaning against her ambulance driver and going, this is my personal driver. I pay him $100,000 a week. Just saying crazy shit. And some of them look annoyed like they don't want to be there. But most of them are smiling and they're having fun. It's the sister-in-law saying crazy shit. And it's fun. And Pakistani has embraced her. And I want to clarify something because I told this story to a friend of mine and he was like, man, she's lucky she didn't get her head cut off. And I'm like, bro, you're confusing Pakistan with Palestine. Palestine is the one currently at war with Israel. And yes, if she had showed up in Palestine, she probably would have had her head cut off by now. But she's in Pakistan. And Pakistan is what India would be if India was all Muslims. So it's kind of like a Muslim version of India. You know how Palestine and Israel hate each other and they're constantly at war? Well, India and Pakistan also share a border. And they also hate each other. But instead of going to war, they solve all their problems with dance battles. Let's watch the video. I think all countries should solve their problems with dance battles. Wouldn't the world be a better place if all countries solved their problems with dance battles? So, 3 days ago, February 9th, Ramzan finally convinced Onaija to get on a plane and return to New York. And I'm sure, I guarantee you, I would bet an entire paycheck that Pakistan took better care of Onaija than New York or America took care of Onaija. Because I'm sure Onaija, being bipolar, we closed down all our asylums in the 70s, which I personally believe was a mistake. Because now, instead of these people having a place to go and stay and be crazy, they're just on the streets or in jail, So she was living her best life in Pakistan. Ramzan, on February 9th, convinces her to get on a plane to go to New York. But Onaija's bipolar. She's not going to do what you expect her to do. So she gets on the plane, and as soon as she gets to her, layover stop, she doesn't get on the plane going to New York. She gets on the plane going to Dubai, which is the place that she wanted to go to in the video. Now listen, I have not seen a single video of Onaija since she landed in Dubai. And yes, it's been confirmed that she got on the plane to Dubai. Pakistan embraced her. Pakistan, especially Ramzan. And Ramzan, I salute you, sir. You are a great humanitarian. You showed this woman the time of her life. You took care of her. You saw a human being in need, and you did it. And I know why you did it, because you did your little TikTok where you said you did it because you wanted to show Americans that we in Pakistan will embrace Americans. And you did it. You embraced her, and you made my TikTok for you page so wonderful, because I watched this woman live her best life on TikTok in Pakistan, and it made me laugh every single time, and it made me smile. But Dubai is not Pakistan. Dubai is not going to treat her like Pakistan. Dubai embraces Sharia law. And the first time Onijah comes out and says, I'm a Muslim. Well, she's not. She's not a Muslim. She says she's from Pakistan. She's not. She's from New York. She has bipolar disorder. She just says things. The first time Onijah goes, I'm a Muslim and my religion doesn't let me do blah, 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 and it goes against Sharia law, she's going to get arrested. She's going to spend the night in a Dubai prison, probably more than one night. And that's a shame, because sometimes when you embrace the silliness like Onijah, life gets good. If you take life too seriously and you just punish everyone for being silly and ridiculous, life's not so good. Let's embrace the silliness in our lives. Let me give this toast to Ramzan. Ramzan, you are a humanitarian. Sir, I wish I had just a fraction of the love that you have for other human beings. Toast to you, Ramzan. Good luck to you, Onijah, in Dubai. That's all I have for today's episode of the Daytime Looker podcast. If there's a topic you'd like me to talk about in the future, please comment, please like, please share this video. If you think I'm a lunatic for sitting here and just talking shit to you, smoking a cigar, drinking, comment that too. I want to hear it. I want to know what y'all think. Leave a comment, like, share, press follow. God bless you. Good luck. Embrace the silliness in your life. Don't take life too seriously.